received your new Atlas Trap At-250 clay target thrower. First, we want to say thank you for supporting Atlas Traps. We're going to go over a couple of the basic operating procedures, the safe way to operate the trap, but remember, always refer to the manual and read the manual in its entirety before you operate your thrower to be safe. If you ever have any questions, call us first. That's always the best way. But we'll go over the basics here real quick. When you receive your thrower, of course it will be empty, no clay targets. It's shown on our optional two-wheel cart here. It won't come with a battery, so these are things you can add, or you will need the battery and the clays. The machine will arrive in the semi-decocked position, which means the throwing arm will be off to the side here, and you'll know that it is safe to load targets when you see the arm off to the side. You never want to stand on the side of the trap. You never want to walk in front of it. Always stay behind the machine. When you receive the machine, it will be timed and calibrated. The timing of the trap is important, and that's something we do here at the factory. So you don't have to change the timing once you receive it. It is ready to go. This spring that fires the machine is already installed. This rod here is part of the spring, and this blue wheel is how you tension it. So if the target's coming out too fast, you can turn this to the left and that'll slow it down. Or if you want to speed it up, you can turn it to the right. So before you do anything, you might want to adjust your vertical angle, and that's real simple. You just need a 1/2 inch wrench. And on either side of the cradle, and again, I'm standing behind the machine, loosen the 2 bolts on both sides. You don't have to have a wrench on the inside, just on the outside. And the trap will be able to pivot in its cradle, and now you can pick your angle. So we'll put it at a moderate angle just to start with. Lock those bolts back down. Since the trap is on the cart, you can point it in any direction you'd like. But if it was mounted to a platform, there's an eyebrow adjustment on the inside that would allow you to pivot the trap, to point it along the horizon. But for now, let's just say I want to point it off to the right a little bit. All I gotta do is take the cart and reposition it. So we've adjusted the vertical angle. We know the trap's in a semi-decocked position. So let's load some targets. Okay. Next, we will hook up our release cord. The release cord plugs into the back of the trap off of this pigtail. Just match up the pins, clicks together. On the back of the machine, you also have a built-in firing button, circuit breaker protection, and this switch right here is very important. This is the semi-decock switch. This is not to be confused with a power switch, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. So now our release cord is hooked up. We've got clays. We can place our battery and go ahead and hook up the trap to power. And now, as the trap has been timed, we've got clays loaded, batteries hooked up. To operate an Atlas, it's very simple. You just move that switch up we just talked about. You move it to the up position. The throwing arm will cock and the first target will drop. Now, as you can see, the throwing arm, you can no longer see it off to the side. It's underneath. The trap is cocked. It's hot. It is ready to fire. So as always, you want to stay behind the machine. I've got my release cord in my hand, and I can stand back to fire the machine. You can see I set it at a fairly high angle. If that's too high, again, you can change that by adjusting those two bolts on the side of the cradle. But before making any adjustments, you have to put the machine back in the decocked position and unhook the battery. So we'll throw a few more. So let's say now you want to slow the targets down or change the angle. We'll go back to the machine, move that toggle switch down, and fire the trap. Now you can see the arm off to the side again. So we put the machine in the semi-decocked position. But now again, not to be confused with powering the trap. As long as the battery is hooked up with the leads from the trap, there's still power running through the machine. So if I press the button, you could hear the motor turning and the carousel about to rotate. This is not how you operate the trap. This is the wrong way to do it. If you're ready to shoot again, you have to go back down, move the toggle switch up to cock the machine correctly. So we'll put it back in the decocked position, fire that clay, unhook our battery completely, both terminals. Put that off to the side so it can't get anywhere near it. Now if you wanted to change the vertical angle again, we could do that. Or if we want to reposition it and say I want to throw a greater left angle, we could do that. Safety first, and if you ever can't recall those steps, refer to the manual. The steps we just talked about in this video are in your manual. And thanks for supporting Atlas Traps.